Hello everyone. Hello, hi, hey. I'm Ghosty and welcome back to the Underworld. And today is something pretty special. It's the start of a brand new show, and if you clicked on this video, then you'll already know what it's about. Because it is nearly 12 a.m. at night, and it's soon to be the first episode release of Kenobi, the new show starring Obi Wan Kenobi, and of course it's a Star Wars show. So I'll probably do what I did for previous shows and make my thoughts on each episode after I watch it. So I'm going to wait a bit, watch it, and I'll get back to you. Let's go! The hype is now. Kenobi! Or something that's a little more fitting. Kenobi! I'm not even going to try that. It's a little too late for that. So I'm going to watch it, and I'll get back to you. Alright, I waited a bit, I watched and finished the episode, so now I'm ready to talk about it. And just so you know, obvious spoilers for episode 1, or part 1 of Obi Wan Kenobi. So, it's just spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the episode, then I advise you to leave and watch it and come back afterwards. But I appreciate that you actually want to check it out and clicked on the video to begin with. But, here's like 5-second warning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, we good? Alright, let's go. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Part 1. To little to no surprise, I enjoyed the episode. Obviously, this was the pilot episode of this series. It's the first episode, the first part, so they have to set everything up and basically have like a recap of everything. The episode did have a recap, which was beautifully done, by the way. The episode even started off, besides the recap, it even visited Order 66 again, which I didn't expect to see. I probably should have. I honestly probably should have expected a lot of things in this episode that I really didn't think about before going into it, which I'll get to. But they showed off Order 66, which was pretty cool. And I always love seeing that stuff. So I enjoyed that. Overall, the episode was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Some stuff is a little slow here and there, but again, it's the first episode, and they need to have it all there and have it planned out, and they have to set everything up going into the series, so it makes sense. It's always a treat to have iconic Star Wars characters coming back and making the return, especially Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ewan McGregor is back, obviously, and I'm more than happy to say that, and some other familiar faces that we'll see, not in this episode, but they're confirmed to be in the show, and they'll come up later on, which we'll get to in other videos when they come up. But of course, it's great seeing Obi-Wan, and just see Ewan McGregor come back and, fulfill his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi and really bring the character back to life. I love seeing it, and I'm so glad that he's back. This show could honestly not even be that good, and I would still love it just because it's going to have so many good moments in it, and just the moments with the characters and just having them characters come back for us. That fact in itself is just something to really love about the show itself. But from the first episode, I think it can lead into a very interesting plot and have some really good moments go down, and I think if it's done right, they can do it well. So I'm not saying it's going to be bad in any way. I thought the first episode was good. Again, it was a little slow, but it made sense. And it wasn't even that slow, per se, just some stuff, and everything is like a little slowly paced. So it's not like too slow to the point where it's a bad thing about it. I just thought I could point that out. But yeah, I still appreciate it, and I still enjoyed the episode. And again, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. I was saying it could be, and say the finale's out and the show's finished and complete, it could be bad. Say the chance it is actually turns out being not that good of a show, I wouldn't even mind it because of just how much that we would get in the show, and I would still appreciate it to the fullest. But again, I don't think it's going to be that way anyways, so we don't have to worry about that. I think it's going to be good, and so far the first episode was pretty good, I think. I enjoyed it. And speaking of the plot, so far, well, from what we know, obviously, it's after Order 66. They said it's about 10 years afterwards, so the Inquisitors are active, which are the main antagonists. We have Obi-Wan, obviously, as the protagonist. We even see Luke and Leia in their, I was going to say children forms, but that's not really a form. They're literally children. It's 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, and we have Obi-Wan as this living really low key, all the time, and he's been hiding out in the desert on Tatooine, and just been hiding overall. Like, just in general, he's been hiding out for a decade now, and he continues to do so up until The New Hope, as we see how it plans out. But in this show so far, they have the Inquisitors hunting Jedi, and obviously they have, or at least one of the Inquisitors, well, not Inquisitors, one of the sisters has a really soft spot for Kenobi for some reason, and she's really hesitant to get him and knock him down off his pedestal. So we'll see how it plans out. But they're hunting Jedi, and Kenobi's obviously one of the ones remaining. And through all of this hiding and him having to keep a low profile this entire time, a decade plus more, since we have all that time between now and A New Hope again, he's still, like, we're getting a real good glimpse of, like, the pain and grief that he suffers because of what happened with him and Anakin, which I think has so much potential. They do it justice in this episode, and I really hope to see them explore that. Like, as much as I don't want to say it and make myself seem like an asshole by saying this, but I want to see pain. Like, they have so much potential with this, and they could really bring it to life and really show Obi-Wan's grief and his pain through this show, and just through his character by himself. I think there's a lot of potential in that, and they could really embrace it and show it off. And so far, they're doing a good job with it, and I really want to see that come to fruition even more. But like I was saying, the plot, the Inquisitor hunting Jedi, but then they find out that Obi Wan Kenobi, which one of the sisters had, a soft spot for, like I said, actually kidnapped Leia, which, I was going to say this again, another thing I didn't really expect, which I should have expected, was that they would dive deep into Luke and Leia as children. I knew they would come up here and there. We all knew that the show was going to be about Kenobi hiding out, and after the events of Revenge of the Sith, like a decade afterwards, and of course it was true, and now we're seeing it in this episode. But I really did not expect how deep they were going into it. They're going into it like full in depth, and we see a lot of Leia in this, and like the Organa family, which I didn't really expect. I expected to see both of them here and there, but apparently by the first episode, just judging it by this and the events of this episode, it turns out to be Leia got kidnapped, and it's saying how Captain Organa, Leia's dad, or I guess her adopted dad, is saying how it's Kenobi's last fight. He gave up on the life of a Jedi, and he's hiding out, and he's put his entire loyalty, which I'll talk about later on again, but he's put his entire trust in himself and his loyalty to Luke, and watching over Luke and making sure he grows up and succeeds and can be a Jedi in the future. But Leia gets kidnapped, and Captain Organa says that Obi-Wan needs to come back to this Jedi life and pick up the lightsaber again to actually fulfill this mission in saving Leia because she got kidnapped. So he literally says the words as his last fight. So it seems to be that this might take place over the entire show, and this is the major plot. Because, well, Luke might be fine the entire time, but Leia is kidnapped now, and I think it might be the entire plot of the show, which I don't mind. It's still a thing, and I really don't mind what the plot was to begin with, because we're getting the show, and I'm all for it anyways. But it seems like that the whole plot is Kenobi trying to save Leia from the Empire, and having to deal with the Inquisitors and the Empire, and, of course, hopefully soon, Vader. Darth Vader. The Dark Lord. The absolute iconic villain. I'm not sure when he's going to come up. Hopefully soon. But he seems like it's going to be more of a finale type thing. I'm not sure. But yeah, it seems like it's going to be across the whole show of him trying to save Leia and get to the bottom of that whole scheme. But like I said, I really don't mind it. Again, I'm all for whatever they have to offer with this show. I'm going to watch anyways, so might as well. But yeah, it seems like Leia being kidnapped. It's going to be the whole plot. It's going to branch out over the entire show, and it's going to be the big thing going, overarching everything in the show. And Kenobi's going to have to deal with this double life that he's living, of having to deal with coming back as a Jedi and also having to hide out and keep it low key the entire time. So it's going to be pretty cool to see him. Stealthy Kenobi, I'm on board with it. I won't lie, I'm on board with it. Yeah, I don't know why. I just didn't expect them to go so deep into Leia and the Organa family. Well, now that knowing it's basically the plot, or I'm just judging off this one episode, and of course they set things up in this, so I won't be surprised if I'm right. but I just didn't expect them to go so deep into the Organa family. And her getting kidnapped by hired goons that were hired by the sister of the Empire, which was a weird scene because they're all following Leia and trying to capture her or whatever, and it's like the most not slow pace, but it seems like slow motion. That they had every single chance to capture this small child running around, and it's like, it's gonna sound horrible, but just get her already. She's right there, and they literally stand there in front of her as the camera pans around, and she's looking around when they're literally just standing right in front of her. Oh no, it's just funny, but yeah, it happens. I'm not sure if I'm fully on board with the sister or the Inquisitor. Really, they're not the most intimidating. I mean, that one scene, she literally cuts the girl's hand off, which is pretty cool. I didn't expect them to go full on, not really gory, since Star Wars doesn't have blood, because, lightsabers and blasters don't cause blood and cause, wounds like that. But it was still pretty gory for Star Wars. I mean, actually, maybe not. Yeah, kind of. I don't know. But, yeah, I'm a little iffy about the antagonist so far. Obviously, if said Vader does come in, I'm not going to be iffy anymore. But I'm not sure if I completely like the Inquisitor and the sisters yet, and the brother, or whatever his name was, the other guy. I don't know. That whole group, I'm a little iffy on them. I'm not on board with it fully. I'm not fully into them yet, as of yet. I always love the evil side of things. Literally, in any form of media, comics, video games, books, movies, whatever it is, I'm always into the evil side and the villain side of things. I always like the villain side more than the hero side, or I'm always more into the protagonist. I'm more into the antagonist than the protagonist side kind of thing. But right now, I just can't buy it. They look cool, but character-wise, I'm not fully sold on it just yet. Side note, shout out to that alien thing that Obi-Wan rides around, and he has to hide the meat to smuggle it to feed his pet or his companion thing that he rides around. Shout out to that little thing guy. I don't know. And the Jawas. Shout out to the Jawas. I love the Jawas. I don't know why, but I stated this in my Lego Star Wars playthrough. Not sure if anyone watches it. I know they're long episodes. So, and by the time of this episode is going up, or this video, I'm probably going to post Revenge of the Sith Part 1 too, so you can check that out as well. But before, I said I love Jawas. I do. I love them so much. I don't know why. I shouted to them too. Oh yeah, and also I'm gonna bring the Inquisitors up again, or that Empire group, that little group of them. I'm not sure what to call them. I guess they would be Vader's underlings, since they do work under Vader. But I'm not sure what their specific group is called. But I thought they did, but I thought they hung a character that comes up in this episode. The hidden Jedi. I'm not even sure if he's a Jedi, but he has Force powers. He has the ability of the Force, so I would guess he's a Jedi. But he's trying to encourage Obi-Wan and tell him this isn't over. Even though the Jedi lost or whatever, yeah, there's still hope. And he's trying to bring a new hope. It's a little early, maybe a few decades early for a new hope. But he tries to get Obi-Wan back into this swing of things, and he tells him they need his help, or whatever. Obi-Wan tells him to stop or whatever. And it turned out he did not stop because the Inquisitors and the group mean business. Because later on they kill him and put his body up on ropes, which I thought it was a noose, and I thought they were getting real dark with it, which I was kind of hoping before. They didn't though, so missed opportunity. But it's Disney Plus, so I guess so. I see why. Another thing I wanted to talk about is how I already brought this up about how Obi-Wan is dealing with this grief, and he is dealing with his immense pain because of what happened with him and Anakin. And I've obviously, like I said, I want to see them explore that more and get even into more depth with it. Especially if Vader does come up, it's going to be not only a physical battle, but a really emotional and heart-wrenching battle, which I cannot wait for. But he has dreams and nightmares and such, which is, I don't know, whenever they touch on that, I really like it, and it just adds to the emotional depth, and it adds to the character and the relationship between him and what was Anakin, which is now Vader, which again, hope to see soon. And speaking of that dream, when he wakes up, this reminds me of another thing that happened in this episode, was that he's asking for his master, and it called back to Yoda talking about the Force Ghost and how he can talk to his master. So, we might have a chance at seeing Qui-Gon Jinn again, which He's a very popular character in the Star Wars fandom for some reason. I don't see it. He's cool, I guess. Like, I like him, and I understand he was a powerful character, but I'm not completely sold on him. I just need to see more of him. I mean, I like his, his role and his entrance in the Phantom Menace, but I just need to see more of him to actually understand that, like, hype around him. But we might see Force Ghost Qui-Gon, and we might see Liam Neeson make an appearance again, which would be pretty cool. So, hope to see that. Obi-Wan's wise, but he might need even wiser guidance in this journey that he's going on. So, I won't be surprised. And it'll just be pretty neat to see it. Also, another side note kind of thing, when they're ever like focusing on Leia and the Organa family, and they're showing off Alderaan, all I can think of is the Empire absolutely blowing it to smithereens, and I'm just looking at it like, damn, this is messed up. That's all I can think about. And there's another thing I could talk about the scene of Obi-Wan talking to Owen Lars, Luke's uncle, and how he needs to stay in Tatooine to look over Luke. Owen's like, like, well, you're going to train Luke? Well, you're going to train him like how you trained his father, which it was all over the internet when that was, like, clip released to begin with at first. So I don't really need to talk about it. Yes, it has meaning. Yes, it's impactful. And yes, it hurts. But that's alright. And that brings me to another thing as well, that Obi-Wan really does, like, I don't even need to repeat myself about how it touches on his grief and his, this, like, depression that he's going through because of what happened. But it really does show his, like, loyalty. Like, he's put all of his loyalty into Luke and having to stay here. But, of course, this explores him leaving Tatooine and going out. And, I should have expected this, because I don't think the entire 6-episode show was going to be about Obi-Wan resting in and out of caves in Tatooine, looking over Luke. So, yeah, I should have expected it. And speaking of Tatooine, the episode ends with Obi-Wan digging up his lightsaber in the Tatooine sands, which also has Anakin's lightsaber still in it. And this isn't really a theory, but just something I thought of, that they don't show him, like, burying Anakin's lightsaber, so we might get a case of him bringing it with him to make sure it's, like, in safe hands. And maybe if they do come across paths, Kenobi and Vader, he could show him the lightsaber, and we'll have that kind of moment where he looks at it, or Vader, like, looks at it, and, like, that sort of thing. Like in Rebels, when he finds his lightsaber in the sand, or not the sand, the snow. Why would it be sand? He hates sand. But, you know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at? That kind of thing, where he looks at it, and it's, like, a really impactful scene kind of thing. But I don't think it's going to be like that. It's probably still in the sand, and they're probably not going to do that. But it does end with Obi-Wan with his own lightsaber, and then he goes off and the episode ends. And it's pretty fitting that I'm talking about the ending, because now at this point, I think that pretty much wraps up my thoughts and the end of this video as well. I think I pretty much shed light on everything I wanted to talk about. So, that's it. Part 2 for Obi Wan Kenobi is already out, so I'm going to be making a video on that soon, and I'm going to release it. And then, of course, I'm going to make videos on the upcoming episodes once they release, probably weekly. So, be on the lookout for that. And subscribe to stay tuned and keep an eye out for them. So, subscribe, like, comment, etc., all that common YouTube stuff. And, again, thank you for watching. I appreciate it greatly. This has been Ghosty, and I bid you all farewell.